I'm very excited that Heron could join us here. He's based in Vancouver. He works not only with national public relations, but with his own company, Double H Creative. He has 2 decades worth of experience in the broadcast and journalism side of things. And I first heard him speak at the American Marketing Association of BC. They had a storytelling breakfast last spring, and I was really impressed by not only how he was telling us the stories, but what he was talking about. Mary Lou, close that door. Anyway, so, and he also has the secret cult of Winnipeg that he might reference today at some point. So, ladies and gentlemen, Heron Hanuman.
Any Winnipeggers in here? One? Jeff? Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so this is I just want to say incredible speakers today. That was I looked at the panel, and I was telling a fellow panelist. I said, "Wow, I didn't realize I was going to be on a panel with potential mentors for me." So I was like, "Wow, this is really cool. I'm really excited to be included in today's events, and I hope you guys are getting something out of it as well." This is my version of Once Upon a Time. It's sort of like the street, yo, check this out. So this is kind of how I usually would start telling a story. But first I want to explain a little bit about me. I spent some 23 years in broadcast, both radio, TV, digital, across Canada in newsrooms. At CBC Global, CTV, I worked over in Europe for a bit. I even went down to my parents are from Trinidad, so I had an opportunity to do an internship down at Trinidad and Tobago Television. My big takeaway is that, yeah, it's okay to have rum during the day. So anyways, so Double H Creative is it's a very small boutique storytelling agency, and when I say the word boutique, I mean just me. So that's what I mean by boutique. So I've got a number of clients where I do a lot of digital strategy, social media strategy. I also do some video production. So the BC Physiotherapy Association is a client of mine. We do some stuff for them. I ventured over to Victoria a couple of times to do some government work. I also have a client who happens to be national PR. In that role, I'm their director of digital. And it's kind of they treat me as a vendor, I treat them as a client, and it's a really good relationship. Through them, I get to work on some really neat stuff. Everything from interactive iPad apps that are started off as infographics. This was for the Kitimat LNG project for Chevron. And the BC LNG Alliance, where I wrote the digital and social media strategy for these guys and get to do a lot of cool stuff. I was telling Robin earlier in the drive over here, I just wrapped a video for the Heart and Stroke Foundation. It's, I think, our 4th video that we did for them. It was in Kelowna, a bunch of seniors that play on this hockey team, an old-timer hockey team. And so we wrapped it 2 days ago. Yesterday, it was released, and I contacted some friends at CTV, and they picked up on the story, so they did it. CBC is doing it today, and yeah, it was a really cool story. So basically, these guys, for 9 years, have built a hockey-related first aid kit, and they got a defibrillator, an AED machine. And they brought it on the bench where it collected dust for 9 years. And then this year, they had to use it twice. So both these guys, this guy here, his heart stopped for 6 minutes. He wasn't breathing for 13. And the AED saved his life. He was on the ice for it. He was shocked that it happened. 5 months later, he's back on the ice. He goes down. And in a weird way, a weird sort of coincidence, they both fell in front of the goalie. And he was the first one on the scene. So amazing story. And so I got this email late this morning, or late last night, early this morning. It's from the goalie. He said, Heron, thanks so much for telling our story. And the reason I'm going to read this to you only because I think for the storytellers in the room, this is kind of why we do it, right? And at least this is why I do it. Heron, thanks so much for telling our story. As I viewed your video, it felt like you had reached into my soul and deposited a message. The reaction from some of my friends and fellow players is similar. Well done, sir. Sometimes life presents us with situations. How we react and handle them becomes a measure of the man that we are. It may not define us, but it does cause one to reflect. Oftentimes, these moments are fleeting and perhaps even forgotten. You have my gratitude for capturing and preserving two such passages in this man's life that I cannot and will not ever forget. We got our buddies back. The ultimate save. Oh, yeah. So that made me feel really good. I didn't want to bury the lead, so I thought I'd just get that out now and just let you guys know that it's kind of the reason why we're kind of doing all this stuff. So that's kind of a bit about who I am. I'll tell you some of the stuff I have not done. I actually have never taken a marketing course. I've never done any PR courses. I'm actually thinking about joining this group just because I think it might be a good networking thing. I've never done any advertising, so I was really fortunate that right out of high school, while I was in high school, I got a job. I was one of the youngest radio announcers in Winnipeg at the AM station. And then from there, I went to CBC Radio and tried miserably to get into Red River Community College. I wasn't smart enough to get in there. I eventually got into Ryerson, the radio television arts program. And, and I just always had industry jobs. I was just really lucky. And I worked hard and I, did the right things, I guess, at the time. So what I've been around a lot is newsrooms, and newsrooms are filled with stories every day. That's their bread and butter. I mean, some of them will say that if it wasn't for stupid people, there really wouldn't be any TV news because it's typically bad things that happen. But what I realized was that when you're going out and you're doing stories, political stories, murders, you name it, at the end of the day, it involves passion and it involves emotion and it involves all these really human things that really resonate with people. It evokes some sort of feeling, anger, hatred, happiness, joy, you name it. So that's what I think we're all sort of striving to sort of capture. I actually got my wife to, one thing I hate doing is shot listing video. I just hate it. That's where you're transcribing the video. I just don't like it. So I got my wife, I paid her, quite well actually, to shot list my video. And I told her, so she started doing it, and I stopped her and I said, look, I've got like a couple hours of footage to go through. I said, I just need you to do one thing that's really, really important. I need you to put in parentheses anytime there's some sort of emotion. She's like, well, what? I go like laughing, a look down where he's thinking, he looks up, something like that. Just please put that in because those are the things that we connect with when we see them. And it just adds that layer of storytelling. It helps the narrative. It just makes that video become rich. So she did it, and I ended up putting them all in that video for the Heart and Stroke Foundation. And we screen it for a couple people, and their eyes get wet. And I'm like, okay, I think we hit our mark. And I don't do it purposely, like I want people to cry. I want people to feel, right? So at CTV, the last 6 years I was there, I ran digital, which was at the time where, I can tell you, I was in a meeting, 2010, the torch is coming in. CTV was the rights holder for the Olympic Games, as we all remember, and the torch is now coming into Vancouver. It's like the day before the opening ceremonies of the games. The president of CTV News in the meeting with everyone, like Lloyd's there, Lisa LaFleur, everyone's in this one meeting in Vancouver, and he looks at me and he says, Heron, this Twitter thing, I don't know. I think we should just pull it all down. And I'm like, what are you doing? So at CTV, I got us on Twitter, I got us on Facebook, I got us on Instagram, and really had to motivate and really sell social and the whole notion of building a community and stuff like that. So I've had a lot of experience in sort of that realm. Left CTV and then ended up freelancing. Do a lot of tech stuff. I mean, what I was really known for at CTV, and I did murders and dead children stories and political stories, but I really like doing features. I really like doing the stories that and finally tonight we leave you with this squirrel who, blah, blah, and do those kicker stories. And I would be the one that would do those kind of things. And I'll just leave you with one quick little story about my illustrious career at CTV, where I made, some of you know Bridget Anderson. She was over on the island for a while as an anchor. She was anchoring the CTV News at 6. On the weekends I was working, and I was the kicker guy, and we just wrestled the contract away from Global. It was a big deal. It was such a big deal that the VP News flew in from Toronto, and they set up this massive video screen, and they had me do the main feature of what to do at the fair. So we got a remote broadcast there, and Bridget throws to me and she says, well, and here's Heron with P&E and what's going on. So I throw her my pack and I say, oh, you got to ride the old roller coaster, you got to do all these things and food and blah, blah, blah. And the one thing I forgot purposely not to put in there, because I was going to use it as a prop at the end, was I had those little mini donuts, right? And I said, so the way it was going to work was, I was gonna end, call it a tag, so I was gonna end my bit, come out, talk to camera. She was gonna ask me a question. Right at the end of my bit, I was gonna pop one of these things in my mouth. She's gonna ask me a question, and then by the time she's asking a question, I would have finished chewing, and then I would be able to answer it. But I didn't hear the question because the cell thing didn't work. So I thought, I don't know what she's doing, so I popped another one in my mouth to sort of kill time. So, and we're in a 2-box, and so she says, and Heron, blah, 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 and I'm like, whoa, and I started choking on air, and then she starts crying because she can't believe it. And anyways, the director told me afterwards, it's like everyone was dying in the control room, so we just left you up. It's like, great, thanks. So, now, what my colleagues think of me, they think of me as this guy. And we've heard it so many times, right? I've gone to the dark side, right? But I've thought long and hard about it, and I actually haven't gone to the dark side, because now what I do for my clients is I'm actually still reporting. I'm still sharing stories, still looking for emotion, still trying to find unique angles. And I think the only downfall of it is that I'm sometimes too balanced, or I'm sometimes like, I don't put enough sort of salesy promo stuff in there. But I always look backwards. My approach to it is kind of the same approach I take with my marriage. And it's worked really well. It has. I just, I put myself in my wife's shoes, and I go, well, what would she expect? Like, she goes away on a sales trip, she comes back. If I was her, what would I expect when I came home after a long trip? Would I expect a dirty kitchen full of dishes? Or would I expect a nice meal in the oven or something like? So I always sort of look back as to what the viewer would expect. What's the value the viewer, the listener, the audience is hoping to get out of it? And I work from their perspective. And sometimes clients are like, well, we kind of wish you would hit more on that. I go, yeah, but you know what? The audience doesn't care about that. This is what they care about. This is the story. Right? And if you do it that way, it'll actually resonate better with them. So just sort of keep in mind, I'm going to sort of hit on that as we go on. The other thing too is I'm having fun. This is me outside Chicago at a conference. Now it's boring as batshit. It's Treasury, which is like, and my clients, my client is like finance software. It's really boring, but we're having fun. So anyways, and here's me talking to another guy. You can't tell, but that's actually in Barcelona. So I get to Europe and do some really cool things with these guys. Before I go on, I Googled digital in Google Images, and like you get a lot of stuff like this. And I just wanted to say that I think, and we've probably heard digital, we've heard it before and we'll hear it again. And it's actually, when I started my business, I said it's your in-house digital storyteller. I'm going to redo everything, and I'm going to drop the word digital, because I think it's so pervasive in what we do these days, right? And I'm just going to tell you, I hope you don't mind me telling stories. I mean, it is a storytelling conference, so I'm going to tell you some stories. So we talk about digital being everywhere, and we've all heard about the Internet of Things. So, and I've already mentioned my wife, so I'll just, please forgive me for this one. So it's Valentine's Day, and I, like most men, waited till the end of the day to figure out, well, okay, I'll go get something. So where my German client's got an office in Gastown, so right around the corner from them is a lingerie shop. So I thought, oh, well, okay, I'll go just whip in there. So I whip in, and there's like, it's all women in there. There was like no guys, except there was one guy who was really nervous, sort of in the back. So I'm like, okay, so I'm walking in, and I'm avoiding everybody. And I finally make it to the back where this woman comes up to me. She says, excuse me, thank you for coming. Can I help you? Can I ask you any, I can answer any of your questions. And we just so happened to be in like this big kiosk of sex toys, right? So, and I'm like, sure. So this was what we were in front of. So I'm like, well, what is that? And so this thing has got so much digital stuff in it, I was blown away, okay? Like, the two things talk to each other. This thing's got like a gyroscope, so wherever you are and how you hold it actually will change the vibration in this thing. I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. So I thought long and hard about this, and I felt, you know what, this actually is part of storytelling, right? It is a key component. Because you certainly need a hook, and you also need to elicit some sort of surprise, right? So, anyways, I'm going to get into some of the components. I did this, yeah, never mind. Well, it's like, really? Like, yeah. Anyways, no, it was like $200. Not that I wouldn't spend the money. And by the way, they have one that's like $15,000. Yeah, I was like, what? But anyways, at the end of the day, and I think all of us can agree, that there are some key components that all need to be in our stories. And storytelling is about people. It's not about toys. It's not about products. It's not about pitches or anything like that. From the caveman days until now, storytelling is about us and how the world that we live in impact us. So what are some of the good components? Well, a good story should be simple and easy to understand, and they should also have an emotional component, and there also should be some truth to it. We see, in journalism, we always hear, got to peel the onion, and I agree with that. You need to peel back the layers of a story and also layer in little gifts for the audience, for the reader, little nuggets, surprises, and stuff like that. And that really sort of helps them remember that story. It should also have a surprise, and it takes the viewer somewhere where they can't go. We've heard about new perspectives on stories. And let them experience something about a person's character, a private moment, an event, ultimately a journey. And video can do this really well. So can radio. It should also be relevant. You want to make sure that your audience can appreciate it and that it does add value. And again, not to your boss, but to the audience. And of course, it should have a hook. We've covered that already. So, and just remember that the business brands, whatever you're pitching, you don't have customers, you have audiences. So I want to now talk to you about a really cool project I got to work on through National. One of their clients is the BC Midwives Association. My wife and I, we have two kids, and in both kids we used a midwife, and it was an amazing experience. They can be a bit granola, but ours was really cool. So it was just a really good experience. So in this particular case, they and this, keep in mind, this was during the teacher strike, right? So government's really kind of preoccupied with teachers. So we're trying to get the attention of government. The midwives withdrew services. They were going to stop their work that they're doing with students at UBC, and they really wanted to do a couple of things: build a community and just really build a community, rally support, and get government's attention. So the first thing we did was we created these internet memes, which were really fun. We went and got some stock images, and then through that, the midwives community started to rally around, and people started to adopt their I Heart BC midwives. And then we found a photographer in Vancouver who loves taking photos of crying babies. That's like her forte. So she like gave us all these amazing photos. So we ended up having this, sent it out on social, got them on Instagram, and at every turn they were hashtagging BC Poly, so government certainly saw it. And I thought, well, what else can we do? This I Heart BC Midwives was really taking off, so I thought long and hard about it, and I said, you know what, like midwives are really they're not about babies, they're about pregnant women, really. So what we did was we hired a couple of body painters, and we wrote a message to Premier Clark on the bellies of these pregnant women. So I'll just play this video for you. So that went really well. I think it was like 3 weeks since we launched it, we had over 150,000 views and a reach of over 700,000 in British Columbia. So that was really good. And in the end, once the teacher strike got settled, the midwives got what they wanted from government. So it was a really effective way. And I mean, the midwives, we did a lot of pro bono work for them, and that video really we executed for $1,500. It was like nothing, right? So it was a really cool campaign to be a part of. Similar concept with that video, we took still photos and we assembled them in some software and created some music. Another version of that was the Save the Children video. I don't know how many of you remember this one? Has anyone seen it? So it launched in the spring, and it was done by Save the Children UK. And what it was, there was this trend a while ago where you just take a second of video of yourself and then just sort of assemble it. So in this one, it was the life of this 8-year-old girl, and she is in London. And what they were trying to do was just illustrate what it would be like to be an 8-year-old in Syria. And so she has her birthday, and then war breaks out, and then she, ends up family dead, and she ends up in a refugee camp, right? But it's London. So, and it really hit home. That video was quite shocking for a lot of people. And it's a 90-second spot, and 8 months later, it's had over 35 million views on YouTube. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because it's really cool trend. I mean, a lot of people are doing these kind of things now, and you can glean a lot of really cool storytelling techniques and stuff by, just seeing what's sort of out there. Here's a different version of it, of a guy who took the trend of selfies and the 1-second video, and he just took a selfie of himself every day while he traveled through like Africa and Asia and stuff like that. And you can tell he didn't cut his hair, shave, and obviously use any sunscreen. So, but you watch this video and you literally see his hair and everything grow, and you see this transformation of what traveling has done to him, and it's just captivating. And that video has done really well. If you're looking for some inspiration, I mean, you alluded to earlier with the mask shot. GoPro has really changed the way we see the world. And I bought a GoPro, and then when you buy it and you have to register it, and it's like, oh, click to receive our emails and stuff like that. So sure, why not, right? So I clicked it, and it's like I read that email every day because I get something new and incredible in my inbox every day. And the nice thing about GoPro is what they've done is they've been able to, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, what do they just sell cameras and accessories. That's it. But you talk to anybody else, I mean, and you look at their website, they're selling like an experience. They're selling a lifestyle. They're selling amazing new things. And they've been able to turn their customers really into the ultimate brand ambassador, which I thought is just incredible. So, and they're able to connect on an incredible level, and it just shows how passionate their customers are about what they do. And again, there's that word passion. So here's how many of you seen the lab? So really cute. And I was like, that's like, how did he do, like what harness did he use to do that, right? GoPro has since created a dog harness, right? Based on what their customers were using their equipment for, they've now created, and I've got a black lab, and yeah, we shoot, I'll post something on Facebook, and it's like, yeah, I get one like. But this, it like totally changes the perspective, and it brings you into their world. And I think as storytellers, the more we can bring people into other people's world, the better we'll be able to, share those stories and connect with them. So here's another take on it. This just started to go making the rounds. It was a wedding video, and they just put a GoPro on the end of a bottle of Fireball whiskey, and then just passed it. So you just see these shots of people going like that. So yeah, it's really cute. I imagine they'll do a follow-up where they're putting Blistex on their lips. Maybe not. Okay, the other thing, just before I go, the other thing I want to talk about is these bad boys, drones. How many of you ever used a drone? I bet you if I ask this question a year from now, there'll be more hands in the air, because this is just really changing the industry on its head. So I've got a couple of videos I want to show you. One is, it's just so cool. I mean, I saw this video and I was like, okay, I gotta show it. So I'll just be quiet and let you see it. This is what you need to see right here. So it's called Followcopter, and what it does is the drone will follow you. He's got a chip on him, and it'll just come back to him. So it'll never lose him. So now he can go off and do his thing, he or she can go do their thing and have it captured. Like, they just think about the potential and all that. So, yeah, I certainly wish I had a lot of these tools when I was reporting, but certainly using them more and more with clients and stuff like that. And it's making me think differently about how I can tell these stories. So before I go, I'd like to show you one more thing. Do we have time? Yeah. This next video is from OK Go. You guys heard of them? And you've probably seen this video? Okay, well, I just love it. I thought it was incredible. A little bit about it. It was, it's one shot, and they took 60 times it took to execute this. Oh, sorry.
You guys good? We're good?
Yeah, totally.
Do this?
Very cool. And
20、23です。
I love it.
お先ます。準備ですか？
お願いします。
回してください。
Nights out in Babylon, yeah, nights out in Babylon. But maybe all you need is someone to trust. Maybe all you need is someone. Maybe all you need is someone to trust. Maybe all you need is someone. And I won't let you down, no, I won't let you down. I won't let you down, my love. I won't let you down, no, I won't let you down. I won't let you down, my love. Not much to me. You got what the whole world wants, so strap that armor tighter on. Double on down like it's gonna make you free. But maybe all you need is someone to trust. Maybe all you need is someone. Maybe all you need is someone to trust. Maybe all you need is someone. I won't let you down, no, I won't let you down. I won't let you down, my love.
So it's just mind-blowing. And so I did a bit of research into it. It was actually, it's done as an ad, believe it or not, for Honda, who made those robot wheelie things that they're sitting on. So they funded it, and it's taking, storytelling to new heights. See what I did there? Yeah, no, okay, all right. Thanks a lot.